Ik denk dat het heel ver gaat om zijn carrière met jullie door te nemen. Maar Paul is zeg maar de goeroe op het gebied van retentie. Spreekt internationaal, spreekt wereldwijd. We hebben het genoeg gehad om hem op een aantal evenementen te mogen laten spreken en te zien spreken. En dat is ook de reden geweest waarom we dachten dat het een hele interessante spreker zou zijn voor jullie. We zijn iets uitgelopen, dus ik ga vragen of Paul naar voren komt. Paul die zal de presentatie zal die filmen. En ook de PowerPoints die hij heeft, die kan hij met jullie delen. En hij zal het combineren, zodat jullie dadelijk na de presentatie, na deze dag, volgende week of zo, de presentatie zouden kunnen terugzien. Ik denk dat het heel interessant is als jullie daar interesse in hebben. Ik denk dat Yvonne, ja, regelen met Yvonne. Mag ik jullie aandacht en een applaus voor professor Paul Bedford.
Okay. As was said in the introduction, I speak internationally. I travel all over the world. But just before Christmas, I was in Norway and in Sweden. It was snowing there. This week, I've spent the whole week here in the Netherlands. 2 weeks' time, I've got a week in Paris, in France, and then I'm off to the States lecturing. I spend my time doing research on retention, how to keep customers coming back. So I'm interested in how long we can keep members within our clubs. My background is that I started as a gym instructor, so I'm not just an academic. I started as a gym instructor, I worked as a personal trainer, I was the fitness manager for several clubs, and I've managed clubs as well, both private independent clubs as well as in the UK we have the public sector market, which is the local municipal market. I've managed clubs there. I'm an okay manager. I'm not the best manager in the world. I'm great with people, I'm not good with buildings. I don't care where the padlock for the gate is, and you know, if the boiler's not working, it doesn't interest me. I'm interested in the way human beings behave. And when I was first a gym instructor, my interest was, how do you keep people exercising? Because lots of people walk through the door and say they want to join health clubs. They knock on our door and they say, I'm here, help me. And what I noticed was that when I first started, lots of people would come in with lots of enthusiasm, particularly at this time of the year. It's January, this year's going to be the year that my body changes and my life changes and I'm going to look great in Speedos. And by February, they've stopped exercising. Or by March, they've stopped exercising. And I couldn't understand why, when I had my knowledge of exercise, why they wouldn't carry on exercising. So I started to study human psychology. I did a master's degree studying exercise behaviour. I then did a second master's degree, because I'm stupid, on research methods. So I have a master's degree in research methods. And then I did a PhD, particularly looking at the approaches we use to get our members started when they first join our clubs. And I use that research base and that research knowledge to work with operators. Okay, that looks like my slide. Let's keep going. And about 2 years ago, because I've been doing this for about the last 10 to 12 years, about 2 years ago I decided to change the way I worked with operators. I've been working in the UK with a lot of large operators, Fitness First, LA Fitness, David Lloyd, trying to help them improve the retention of their customers. What I noticed was that the projects and the plans we would put into place did not finish before they changed chief executive. So they'd have someone in charge, they'd be in charge for 2 years, the business model wouldn't be changing. The company would come in, they'd change the chief executive, the new chief executive would come in and go, no, we're going in this direction. And I just got fed up with working with these large operators because they seemed to have no commitment to actually keeping members. It was all about making the business as profitable as possible by spending as little as possible, so they could sell it on to the next business. Their plan is to make money in the selling of the business on, not just in the business. So I decided to restructure the way I worked, and I've started working almost exclusively, and I say almost, exclusively with small to medium-sized health club chains and independent operators. But I spend more time working with those particular operators rather than just coming in, doing one day and then leaving. So I have smaller amount of customers, but I work with them for longer. And each year I take on about 10 to 12 new customers somewhere in the world. So I'm traveling more and then continuing to work with the customers I've got. I'll do a serious one in a minute. I'd like to thank Life Fitness for inviting me and covering my costs and everything for being here today. And I would like to have had your logo on the slide, but I don't. So I'd like to thank you for inviting me as well. Yeah, I've done that bit. I've spoken to lots of members, 23,000 customers over a 6-year period about their behaviours and their experiences and what they want and what they don't want. I've spoken in lots of countries. I work with all sorts of operators. The big chain that I work with is Marriott Hotels. I'm responsible for the customer experience in 174 hotels across Europe. But because I can't visit 174 hotels or train the staff, they paid for a video program to be developed to teach their staff. So it's me talking to camera and looking not very sexy, but hey. Work with universities, work with government departments, but I'm more and more working with high-end independent health clubs. In London, we have a health club called KX. Is anyone familiar with that health club or aware of it? Okay, the joining fee in euros is 3,500 euros. The joining fee. First year membership is 7,500 euros. I know some of you in your head, you're doing your translation from English to Dutch and going, did he just say it costs more than 10,000 euros to join this club in the first year? Yes, it does. It's very exclusive. It's in a very exclusive part of London. The first day I visited the club, it was a little bit nervous. I was a bit nervous because Will Smith, the Hollywood actor, was exercising on a bike over here. Madonna was doing Pilates in the studio with her personal trainer. And Prince Harry, our Prince Harry, was doing squats. And I'm walking around the gym going... So the type of people that are members there are very, very wealthy. Lots of old English money, lots of Chinese and Russian money now in London. But that club has the same issues lots of clubs have in terms of holding on to people. And yet the group that they can draw from is smaller than probably any other group of health club chains. There are very few people that can afford that type of money. So when they lose a member, they have to work very hard to find another one. So I've been working with them for about the last year on the services and the way they deliver things. Now, I just want to ask you a question. I'm not going to assume that this is the toughest time we've ever had in the fitness industry. For me, when you first start in the fitness industry is the toughest time. So if you're building a club from nothing, it's often, there's a lot of hours, a lot of work, but it's probably not the best time in the fitness industry in terms of sales, in terms of customers. We're having to work much harder to get customers, and we're having to work much harder to keep customers. There's a lot more choice. My understanding of your market is that there's over 1,600 health clubs, and that the budget operators have been reasonably successful in establishing their businesses, and that they've come in and they've challenged the existing marketplace. Now, my thoughts on the budget market are that you do really need a large volume of people to make a business of it, and really the money is to be made in selling that business to a bigger fool. Someone else coming in and going, oh, I can make money from that. And it's not to say that it isn't good for the customer, because the customers are choosing that, but it does concern me that there will be lots of people joining budget clubs who have never been members of health clubs, may have a poor experience, and then may go, I've been to a health club, yours is the same, I won't join yours either. So they come in, they try, they leave, and they never come back. So we could end up working through a lot of customers or not getting customers who might previously have come to our types of clubs. I've done loads of research, going to talk about that. I had a book published. I can't get copies of it. I've just had to order some copies myself because the publishers are in America and they're going, Europe? Ship to Europe? And I'm like, yeah. And they go, but we don't ship to Europe. So I spend my time working as a translator. The only language I speak is English and science. So I take scientific research and translate it into things that we can use as operators. I read lots of academic journals each month on behaviour, retail psychology, behavioural psychology, health and exercise psychology, some sports psychology, although I think that's different from what a lot of the things we deliver are. I'm going to come on to that. We do loads of really big studies. The last big study we did in the UK in 2008 had data from 293,000 members from 507 clubs. We started off with 600,000 members' data, but the quality of the data was so poor, we had to throw half of the information away. Now, last year, 2012, we collected data for 1.2 million customer records for the UK market. We did it over a 3-year period, so from the beginning of 2009 through to the end of 2011, and we were hoping to analyse that research that data through 2007. The Christmas Eve, myself and my colleague, my friend and colleague, Dr. Melvin Hilsden, had to make the decision not to go forward with publishing the data because the quality of the data was so bad. We had less records out of 1.2 million. We only had 120,000 records that had all the data we needed. And that wasn't representative of the whole industry. It was representative of 2 companies that collect their data well, out of 70 companies that sent us data. And there wasn't one Excel file sent to us that you could just run automatically through our software. We had to clean it every single time, take out the mistakes, change the information slightly, because our industry is not good at collecting data. It's not good at inputting data, and our industry traditionally hasn't seen a value in those numbers. But I'm going to show you this morning where I think the value is, and hopefully you'll get a sense of where that might help you as operators. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go straight into the research stuff. Every time I do a presentation like this, anywhere in the world, and I do probably this first presentation 20, 25 times a year in different countries, I give this offer to you. If you take my email address, and I have some business cards, or you can give me yours, I will analyse data from one site. Now, if you who owns one site, has one site? Okay, so if you're one site, you send me the data from your site, I'll do you a report for free. If you've got 2 sites, choose one. And I'll do one of those. I've got to tell you, last year, only one operator sent me data. One Belgium operator sent me data. So we did analysis on their data, and then they, very kindly paid for me to go out to Belgium and present it to their team and their board. And it really clearly showed them where their strengths and weaknesses were within their business. So I'm expecting to say to you, send me your data, I'll do analysis for you for free, and I won't have to do anything. Ooh. Apart from look from where I'm going. Which is disappointing for me, because I have no data on your market. I have Dutch data, I have French data, Norwegian, Swedish, German, UK data, US data. I have no data on your market. So there's an offer. Free data analysis of your members relative to retention and attrition, broken down by age and gender and payment type, if you're prepared to send me that, to tell you where your business is. Now, I'm going to show you what that data can tell you about your business. For me, it's important to measure accurately. If any of you have been using the traditional method of measuring attrition, where you add up all the people that joined, you add them to the people that you already had, you add up all the people who cancelled, and then you divide one by another and you get a percentage, you're confused. Because each month you get a percentage, something like 5% or 7% or 9%. And it goes up and down and you can't understand why. I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't mean anything. It is not a research technique. I asked I have to be careful, this is on video, the organisation that promote this worldwide, who I have spoken for in America, where did they get this calculation from? So it's this. In January, I start with 1,000 members. Each month, I sell 100 memberships. And each month, I lose 100 memberships. Now, the maths, even, translating it in your head should be easy. How many new members did I join? 1,200, thank you. How many members did I lose? 1,200. Okay, so I start with 1,000. I join 1,200. I lose 1,200. I end the year with 1,000. If you use that traditional method for calculating attrition, you get 83%. But hang on a second. You've joined more members than you actually had at the beginning of the year, and you've lost more members than you had at the beginning of the year. So you start with 1,000, shouldn't it not be, start with 1,000, finish with 1,000, attrition 0? It doesn't work. And here's another reason it doesn't work. If your sales team next month, or this year, sell 150 memberships and you lose 100, that goes down. Not because you're losing less members, but because you're joining more members. The rate at which they leave stays the same, so you haven't got any better at holding on to people, you've just got better at selling memberships. If this number goes down, so now I only sell 50 each month, but still lose 100, that goes up. Not because you've changed the way you hold on to customers, just because of because when you link sales, joiners and losers together, I don't mind you doing that, but just do plus or minus. So if you're 150 new and 100 left, you're plus 50. As soon as you turn it into a percentage, it doesn't mean anything, because the size of your club grows and shrinks every month. So 5% of your membership this month is not the same number of members as 5% last month or next month, because it goes up and down by a small amount. So it can get really confusing. And here's the other question I often ask of operators. What does that tell you about how long they stay? It just tells you people are quitting. But it doesn't tell you whether they joined in January and left in February, or it's these people leaving here. So it becomes very difficult to make decisions about what actions to take. And I get very frustrated when I listen to some retention experts in different countries going, and you know what you need to do? And they don't base it on data, they just make general statements. Whereas you can very accurately pinpoint, do this here, do this here, do that here to change what's going on. So I'm positive about the fact they're saying retention is important, but I get frustrated when they don't actually tie it to your individual data. So what I'm going to do is, in this presentation, I'm going to show you the UK market, and I'm going to show you where I'd make the changes. In the second session, I'm going to show you what we've currently been researching in the last year. If you do the traditional method of measuring it, what you have is a percentage, 38%. So here we have 3 clubs, A, B and C. At the beginning of the year, they all have 1,000 members. At the end of the year, they all have 380 members. Does anyone here have at least 3 health clubs that they're managing? Or is it all singles? Okay, so you've got 2, but that's fine. Okay, so just imagine the scenario, someone's got 3 clubs. Would you pay bonuses to your managers? If this was 3 clubs you're looking at, would you pay all 3 managers the same bonus based on that figure? Yeah. Yeah, I would, if that's the only number I had or the only information. They've all performed the same. You might argue, if they perform like that, I'm not paying them any bonus. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. What about that? Who gets the bonus? Club C. Because the members are joining, staying, and then leaving at the end of 12 months. Here, they're joining and leaving in the first month, first 2 months. They've lost 35% of their memberships in the first month. So out of every 100 members that they sign up, 35 of them have gone in a really short period of time. That's a lot of work for your staff. It's a lot of commission for the salespeople, for people who don't stay. Now the club in the middle, these ones seem to stay for about 6 months and then drop away. So this one's performing better than this one, but this one's outperforming all of them. Now, if this was membership by month, by month, by month, so you could leave whenever you wanted to, you would see often pictures like this. If you do 12-month contracts, it's a straight line for 12 months, then there's a cliff. So whenever we do research, we always ask for you for data for 13 months. So if you have a 12-month contract, we can see the effect of it to see if it cliffs. And what you have, here's a snapshot of a piece of data. And it's quite old data now, but it does show you the examples. All of these members had cancellation dates between the 4th of January and the 9th of January. So they all cancelled in the same month. But some of them stayed 13 months before cancelling. Some of them stayed 1 month, 2 months, 4 months. So this one, and the examples I use are always based on £35, €35, $35. So it's always on 35. This one gives us £70 euros of income, where this one gives us £560 euros of income. And I'll show you in a second the different types of members stay different lengths of time. So different members are worth different amounts of money. I've just said that. So I use a statistical method, and so does my colleague and some other people we work with, which is grounded in science. It's called survival analysis. It's not something we've made up. You can look it up in any statistical textbook. It's there. It's used by insurance companies to work out your risks, your life, how much your premiums are going to be. Because it's survival. How long are you going to survive? It's used in food manufacturing to show us how long food is healthy to eat before we have to throw it away, sell by or consume by dates. Yeah? In medicine, it's used to work out how long you'll survive after a particular treatment or on a drug therapy program. That's why it's called survival analysis. So it's used in lots of different environments. Engineers, life fitness engineers in the Chicago offices will be working out what the lifespan of the cranks will be, the bearings in the cranks. So they want to know from new to replacement, what's that time? So it's not a method that's just unique to the fitness industry. It's used all over the place, but it's not used very often in the fitness industry because we don't have many people in our industry that understand statistics. Many of us are operators. In fact, I was in North America last year at a conference in Bend in Oregon, and the chairman of the organisation, which is similar to yours, they're high-end independent health club operators, said, if we weren't running health clubs, we'd probably be working middle management somewhere or driving buses. We'd have other jobs. We just happen to be in the health club industry and have grown very successful clubs. Now, I'm not suggesting that's also true of you. So we have retention rate. We want to know how long people stay for. What's the length of membership? What's the average? What's the top 25%? What's the bottom 25%? We want to know the rate at which they quit. How many of a particular type of membership cancel each month? And I'll show you some data to make sense of that. And what's the lifetime value? Now I've got some brand new data, never presented it before, because because I've been waiting on emails all week, so I've got some new data and I'll share it with you about a budget chain operator, which I think might make you happy. So I've done that. That's enough. Okay, so in the 2008 study that we did, we took data for 2 years, so over a 2-year period. And what you see here is this is how long members stay, 12 months, 6 months. So we can now say what percentage of members stay what period of time. And what you can see here is that in the first 2 months, in the UK market, we're only losing about 5% of our customers in the first 2 months. But it's a fairly steady loss over the year. It's a fairly steady loss. Now, why do you think there's that little cliff at 12 months? It's those people who are on 12-month contracts coming to the end of their contracts and going, I'm going to leave. Now, so there's probably a lot of people in this bit that are on 12-month contracts. But obviously those people who are above here were not, so they could come out earlier. Now, when we did this analysis for Health Club Chain in Norway and Finland, you can work out who that is, recently into Sweden, their chief exec said to me, we only sell 12-month contracts. Norwegian market is 12-month contracts, 24-month contracts driven. You know, people join, they pay 12 months, or even if they pay each month. We did his analysis, he had a line like that, and at 2 months it went boom. And then it levelled out and went down. And I said, I thought you told me you only did 12-month contracts. We do. I said, well, what's that then? He goes, I don't know. So he turned to his marketing manager and his sales manager and goes, what's that? And they went, we think that's that promotion we did in the summer, 2-month membership. Come and try us out. And you could see it just went, boom. And when we looked at it, and we've seen this in the UK market as well, the sort of the summer 6-week membership that a lot of clubs are happy to run at low cost to bring people in has very little effect at getting them and keeping them. They sort of come and try your club out for 2 months and they go back to wherever they were training before. Or they don't convert. Some places have got good at converting, but what we've seen is they don't stay much longer than the 2 months. So they join and then the next month they pay a month and then they quit. So we've not seen those types of promotions been very successful. Now, why do you think we've got a cliff here, and you'll have to guess at this, at around about 16 months? Any ideas? Not necessarily on that. It's actually not to do with seasons, because I can show you that seasonally it's fairly flat, cancellations. The highest rate of cancellations is in May. Yeah, 11% of all cancellations happen in May. The next highest is October, which is about 11%. The lowest rate of cancellations is January and September. So I don't know what happens between September and October. But it seems that, you know, when we look at when people join, everyone talks about the industry as being, in January there's a massive uplift in memberships. There's a bit of an uplift, but we don't see it as being double the normal month. But what we do see in clubs is those people who've been members before Christmas coming and using the club again, who'd stopped. You know, they were paying their membership, they stopped training in October, they get to January, I'm paying, I might as well go and use the club. So they come back in. All the people who are already using it are in there, and the other ones come in. So January always looks massively busy, because everyone's really keen to get going again. Or February, in our country, it becomes February. No, they were just selling 16 month for the price of 12. So when the extra 4 months ran out, boom. So we in the UK, we can say the average percentage of people completing 12 months is 66%. 66% of the UK market stay at least 12 months. It's slightly higher in the Scandinavian countries. The data I have on one operator in Sweden is they're doing pretty well. They're up in the 75%, nearly 78% sort of range of their customers staying the full 12 months. But what surprised me about the Norwegian market, we have 5,500 health clubs in the UK, in a population of 61 million. Yeah? In Sweden, of a population of, I think it's about 17 million, might be a bit more than that, they have 4,000 health clubs. That's a lot of health clubs. You know, I thought it was a small market. Norway, 450 clubs. I thought Sweden's about 3 times the size of Norway in terms of space and population. They'll have about 1,250 clubs. No, they've got 4,000 health clubs. So as I said before, all my examples are based around 1,000, and it's either in dollars, euros. Just do it in your head as 35. Okay, what do we know about men and women? In terms of how long they stay, there's no difference between men and women. Between men and women, the major difference is in what they choose to do as an activity. The vast majority of women, not all, tend to exercise in group environments. The vast majority of men tend to exercise in the gym environment. There is some crossover. If you look at the research into men and women behaviour in exercise, women like to exercise in groups or amongst other people. Men like to exercise around other people, but usually on their own or with 2 or 3 people. Men will do group exercise generally if there's an opportunity to compete. So they do circuit classes, they do body pump where you can see who's lifting the biggest weights. But they're less likely, it's not that they don't, they're less likely to do Pilates and yoga, because I can't show you that my breathing is better than your breathing. Look at my breathing. So men like competitive environments, where women don't need the competitive environment, they just want to be social amongst other women or other people. We also know that men will exercise harder in the presence of women. So if any of the women in the room want to have fun at a distance with men, get on a treadmill, take it up to your running speed, and watch them speed their treadmill up. Look at me, look at me. Boop, 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 boop. Even if you walk past and glance, go, how fast are you going? They go, but we can see that there's no real difference between men and women and how long they stay. But we do know they choose different activities when they're in the club. This is a key one, and I think it's really important for you to understand this. Younger people quit faster than older people. Every 10 years of age increases the likelihood someone stays. The fastest cancelling members are students. So not only because they're young, but they have no fixed commitment apart from their studies. You understand? So what we see here is that anyone between 16 and 34, which is these two, quit faster than anyone who's 35 or above. So in the UK market, we describe it as you are older group if you're over 35. And those older members, they're more difficult to find, they're more difficult to sell to, but once they join, they stay longer. So every club will have a mix, and it might be that your club is in an environment where the population is older, and so your customers are older, and therefore they stay naturally longer. Because they have, and we investigated this, we now know that people over the age of 35 are more likely to be in a steady job or a career more than just work. They're more likely to own their own home or have set down roots in a particular community. They're more likely to have a family. Their week is more regular. Mondays, I take the boys to soccer after school. Tuesdays, my wife goes out with her friends. Wednesdays, and it's the same every week. So once they find a space to put exercise in, it's in their diary, and unless something else comes up, they do it. Whereas lots of people who are under that age, it's like, oh, this week, let's go away for the weekend and don't come back till Tuesday. They're more easygoing with their life, so they're less regimented. But if we look at the finances on this, 1,000 16 to 24-year-olds over 12 months will give you 312,000 euros. If you took 1,000 people of the age 45 or above, they would give you 370,000 euros. You'd get an extra 55, 58,000 euros just because they're older. But you have to work harder to get them. Now, who here pays their sales team? Who here is a salesperson? Anyone here the salesperson within their club? No one's going to... Everyone's like, no, not me, not me. Who here has salespeople within their club? Dedicated salespeople. Who here... Do you pay commission? You're down the front, so just... Do you pay commission to your salespeople? Fine, good. Do you pay... Stopped my questioning. Does anyone pay commission to their salespeople? It's okay if you do. Have you all stopped it? You haven't started it. I'd heard that about the Dutch. We're not paying anything for anything we don't want. How much? No. I know when I talk to my French colleagues and they talk about it on Eurosport during the Tour de France, they talk about the crazy Dutch coming down in their campers to watch the Tour de France, bringing their own bacon. But they won't spend money on our bacon, they bring their own. What we have in the UK market, and you see it a lot in the US and other markets, is that salespeople get paid commission for making sales. And they get the same amount of commission whether you're young or old. So operators I'm working with are now paying different commission structures and saying, do you know what? If you sell to someone over the age of 45, we'll give you 10 euros. If you sell to someone under 35, you get nothing, or you get 2. Because they're worth more. They're harder to get. You have to do more to get them. And what I found interesting is as soon as they put those structures in place, the salespeople are going to the marketing team saying, can you change the marketing so it's more attractive for older people? Because if you're paying the same amount, it's easier to sell large amounts of memberships to younger members, but they come through your club and leave your club more quickly. But it costs you the same amount of money. Show them around the club, sign them up, do their bank agreements, someone to show them how to use the equipment if they're in the gym. It all has a cost, and yet the younger ones go really quickly and the older ones stay. But you attribute this, they get the same commission. So something you don't have to think about, because you don't pay any commission. Look at this, the contracts. This is useful to know, but this is a challenge as well. Particularly where the budget market in your country, or the low-cost market, has come in with easy terms for buying and joining and leaving and so on. But we can show this every single time, every country in the world. The longer the contract, even if you don't enforce it, the longer they stay. Because what you have here in this blue line, that's a 24-month contract. Now, if these people were on this 24-month contract and you made them stay, what should that line look like? Straight for 24 months and then a cliff. And so should the 12-month and every other month in there. But, operators are reasonable people. They say, okay, we let some people out of their contracts. But what we see is the longer the contract, the longer they stay, even if you don't enforce it. And this is the reason we're starting to understand why. If you join a health club and you commit to 12 months, in your head you think you're going to be there for 12 months, even if you stop going. Because even when you stop going, you think, at some point I'm going to go back. Yeah? And they keep paying, going, oh, it'll be next month. When my diary's a little bit empty, I can go back. But they don't. Yeah? Here's how... 1 month contracts, they get to make the decision stay or go every month. How many of you are familiar with I call it a game, I'm not sure that it is. The game of Russian roulette, where you take a revolver, You put one bullet in a chamber and you spin it and you put it against your head and you pull the trigger. Or ideally, you put it against someone else's head and pull the trigger. Okay. In that, you've got a 1 in 6 chance of blowing your brains out. When we have contracts, and I'm not against contracts, if we have 1 month contracts, it's Russian roulette but with 2 chambers and 1 bullet. Stay, go. So each month, they get to spin it and go, should I stay or should I go? Whereas a 12-month contract, they only get to spin it once every 12 months. So actually, the risk of cancelling statistically is increased if you give more chances for people to play the game. How many of you feel lucky that you'd get through a whole 12 months playing Russian roulette? Now, the other thing to consider is that when we're trying to sell the concept of fitness and health, how many people can achieve everything they want from fitness and health in a month? None of them, or very few of them. They'll come in May and go, I'm getting married in June, and I need to lose 20 kilos in a month. Cut off your head. And we know that's not feasible. So I always ask the question, if we're selling it, how long do people want to be fit for? And how long do they want to be healthy for? And it's usually longer than a month. So some language you might want to consider, because a lot of the behavioural psychology stuff I teach to clubs is around language. I'm supposed to stop now. I'm going to do a bit more. And then I'm going to stop. Right, so watch how fast I go through these slides. You need to tell me 10 minutes. Yeah. Where was I? Oh. It's not so much body language, it's physical language, the words that come out of our mouths. In your first 6 months of membership, we're going to do this for you. In the next 6 months of membership, we're going to do this. Into your second year, so we're already talking to them about being here 2 years. We're not going to them, do you know what? After a month, you can leave if you want to. They haven't even decided whether they're going to join yet, and we're talking about letting them leave. They walked in going, we want to be part of this. Yeah, they want easy terms, but how many of them are coming up? I only want to be a member for a month. Oh, all those on your special summer promotions. So we need to think about the way we present information, because we know that customers, this is a 1 month contract, look at it. 1 month, somewhere between 1 and 12 months, 12-month contract. Even if you don't enforce a 12-month contract and you let people out early, you'll get more money out of people. And they'll actually stay and exercise longer. So not only the difference between them coming and paying, that just shifts up as well. So that's the same slide, but without the 24-month stuff taken out. 1,000 people paying 35 euros on a 1 month contract will give you 242,000 euros. 1,000 people paying 35 euros a month on a 12-month contract will give you 363,000 euros. That's an extra 120,000 euros for a change in the terminology and the way in which you present stuff. To the salespeople who you're not paying commission to anyway. Now, this is where I get to see this was 1 o'clock this morning, me looking at my emails in my hotel room. Not this bit, but what I'm going to tell you. Monthly fees. How many people think that if you pay less, they stay longer? Who thinks if they pay more, they stay longer? They may do here in the UK market, there's no difference whatsoever. This is the number of months they stay, average. Less than £20, somewhere between 35 and 50. And even when we go up to over 50, there's no difference. Whether they join or not might be determined by how much each month costs. So when they're going through the process of going, should I join your club or should I go there? Can I afford 35, 45, 55 euros? That will be a question. Once they've joined, it's not a question. Once they've joined, it is, are you providing 35 euros worth of value every time I come in? Not per month, every time I come in. Now, where I think the budget market or the low-cost market has had the option to come in and grow really quickly is that, particularly in the UK market, operators charged 35 euros a month but provided 10, 15 euros level of service. Nice clubs, great kit, no service. And they're still doing it. But what the budget clubs have done is they've come in and go, do you know what? Big clubs, great kit, we won't charge you for service, it's going to be £15 a month. But you'll get no service. So they've been able to say, so the operators that are charging 35 euros a month, who've got the same equipment but providing no service, the customers are going, I get no service there for 35 euros a month. They lot promise me no service, but they also say it's only going to be 15 or 20 euros. So I think a lot of operators in my market have actually opened the door for the budget operators to come in, because they were able to get away with charging because the standard of service in the industry was so low. But even the high-end operators, the Reebok Sports Club in London, the Third Space in London, Bodyworks West, these are all clubs that charge £150 a month or more membership, have to provide service because people are going, each visit, am I getting a service relative to the amount I'm paying? So we know that people who are paying different amounts of money. Now, the biggest budget low-cost chain in the UK is called the Gym Company. And they are growing and growing and growing, and they have a lot of venture capital investment, and they have enough finances to open 100 new sites in 3 years. That's the money they've got. They have had some analysis done. Can't tell you who by. And my colleague Melvin was working on it this week, and the average length of membership in their clubs is 9 months. You're probably not going to hear this again, because when I tell them it's 9 months, they're probably going to go, do you know what? Can you just not go out and tell the world that our low cost is only producing 9 months when the industry average in the UK is 16? Average length of membership for half your members is 16 months in the UK. Average length of membership in a low cost, under £20 a month, budget club is 9 months. Almost half. Yet one of their biggest marketing things to their investors is, if you keep the price low, people will keep paying even if they don't use. People are not that stupid. Even the people who are only paying little amounts of money. Is that 5 minutes? I thought you were saying you were stupid. I really didn't. Look at this though, contract length. This is the number of people that quit per 1,000 members of that type per month. So here, if you pay less than £20 a month, you get about 56 of them quit every month of 1,000. You know, it doesn't change very much. Look at this. Number of people on a 1 month contract. If you have 1,000 people on a 1 month contract, each month, on average, you will lose 90 of them. If they're on anywhere between a 1 and 12 month contract, you lose 81. If they're on a 12 month contract, that's 56. So even with my maths knowledge, you're saving about 34 members every month that you don't have to find new ones for, you don't have to do the finances with, you don't have to do the tour with, you don't have to do the induction with, just by having a contract that you let people out of. I understand that's a bigger challenge to sell than a shorter contract. I know that. Yeah? And I wouldn't suggest to you that you have only 12-month contracts. And in fact, with the Belgium operator that I mentioned earlier, they had 1 month, 6 month, 12 month and 24 month contracts, and their graphs looked Just like that. This is what the graph looks like with the fees, and you can see they're here, there's more than 50 grand. The only reason the more expensive one is lower, because we can control for this statistically, is that they were on 1-month contracts. So they're following the 1-month contract line, and it has nothing to do with the amount they're paying. It's like, because it's a 1-month contract, so we can control and control for that. I'm going to do one more slide, and then I've got to have a break because she's going to kill me. We took data from a health club operator in the UK that has 44 sites. That's about the biggest size company I work with, considering that we've got operators who've got 150, 180 clubs in the UK. So that's about my limit. We showed them that if they changed from their current contract approach, and their average length of membership was already 6 months, to a 12-month contract that they would let people out of, they would add £11.5 million to their bottom line that year. Just by changing the terminology in their contract. Interesting enough, the marketing manager who commissioned this piece of work decided that, well, we've already done the marketing materials and we're going to introduce a 6-month contract at a slightly lower rate. So we're currently selling 1 month and 6 months, but we're going to go to this 6 month, commit to 6 months, and we'll drop the rate. Now, if you were listening carefully, I've already told you they already stay 6 months. So now they're going to lose money. And when the chief exec found out, because he said, because I showed this slide and he knew it was his company because he knew the sites and the work we'd done, he goes, how come we didn't go to 12-month contracts? And I said, well, you need to speak to your marketing person. And he did. And she's gone. But the 6 months, she'd already designed her batch. She wanted the research, but she was going to do what she was going to do anyway. But that's the difference. Even just changing the words on a contract can make to the overall income within your clubs. Right, I'm going to stop.
Shall I press it then?
No, it's done.
Maar blijft wel.
Okay.
Dit kan gewoon bij jou liggen.
Ja.
Maar ik heb wel indruk dat je het zelf vast hebt.
Ja,
Want anders gaat het niet weg.
Nee. Maar ik ga eerst bij kijken of mijn kaartje pakt.
Pak even een keer. Ja. Leuk.
Ja, ik krijg op energie van dat.
Oh, we okay? Fine. Excuse me. This is my show. Okay. Couple of quick things. The camera's back on. It's going to last about 27 minutes until it runs out of battery. Can you move him over?
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. But I'm hoping within the next 27 minutes to finish this and then start talking about other stuff. So you'll get everything. I have one business card. Well done, that person. They'll get free stuff sent to them as soon as I get home. Did anyone take cards? I know at least 1 or 2 people took cards. Take some cards if you want and I'll share data with you. All right, let me move on a little bit. Now they've joined, what can you do? This has always been my interest. I've wanted to know, can we affect how long they stay by the way we treat them when they first join? Now, back in 2002, my colleague, Dr. Melvin Hilsden, did some research, and he showed that if people, when they join, come once per week for the first 4 weeks, they can stay up to 29% longer than people who come less than once per week in the first 4 weeks. All right? Now, he was also able to show that people who came twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, didn't stay any longer than those people who came at least once per week. So I understand when we're selling memberships that we're going to say to someone, and if you come 3 times a week, then the cost per visit is this, and if you come more, it'll be less. But our target should be to get them to come in at least once per week, always. I understand, because of my knowledge of the human body, that once per week will not make significant changes to their body. Yeah? They need to do more than that. But as soon as they start coming less than once per week, they look for reasons to cancel. They find other things in their life to put into their life that isn't coming to the club. So we have to keep this frequency of a minimum of once per week. And what happened was, when a lot of the operators in the UK heard this number 4 times in the first month, they said, how are we going to make people come at least once a week in the first 4 weeks? I know what we'll do. The gym induction is now going to be not 1 hour once, it's going to be 1 hour 4 times before you get to your program and go and use the gym. And so they started introducing gym induction programs where the first time you come along, you get fitness tested, you get measured, you get introduced and some lifestyle questioning. The next one, you get your cardiovascular training, and then the next one, you get your resistance training, and then the 4th one, you get what I used to call abs and back, but we now call core or functional training, same thing. And then you got your program, and then you were able to exit. Now, when I looked at the work Melvin had done, I said, it doesn't say that we need to make them come 4 times, as long as they come 4 times in the first 4 weeks. And I was interested because of my interest in the behavioural psychology, saying, okay, well, if we do suggest they come 4 times, and we do that, why don't we do some behaviour change? Why don't we teach them about their habits? Why don't we teach them about their motivators, their goals? Really help them changing their behaviours rather than just learning more equipment. So I did my research for my PhD. This was the basis of my PhD study. So I'm going to show you what happened in my PhD study. I've just told you this, so we're going to move on. The blue line is 1,000 people who had one 60-minute gym induction with a fitness member of staff. How many of you have something like that in your business? If I joined you today, I'd have a consultation with a fitness instructor, they'd show me some equipment, they'd do a lifestyle profile, I'd get to practice, they'd write me a program, and then away I go. Yeah? Something like that? Yeah, and that was the same as the UK industry, so that's why I chose that to be the control. The intervention group were going to get the same 1 hour to start with. The same 1 hour that you're currently offering. However, the following week, they got a 30-minute session with an instructor while they were exercising, but a lot of the conversation was about behaviour change. So we looked at the motivators, things that motivated them, and the things that were going to cause them to quit while they were exercising. And so they got to practice and a little bit more support. That was 30 minutes done on the gym floor. The next week, 20 minutes, and we did detailed goal setting, but while they were exercising. We didn't take them away from exercise. Their time exercising is precious. So while they were riding the Live Fitness bike, while they were on the Live Fitness, we'd come and we'd interview them, and they'd talk, and we'd help them with their goal setting. Not just their outcome goal, but the processes to get them to their outcome goals. The following week, we would do stuff with them for just 10 minutes while they were exercising on things that would cause them to cancel or stop exercising. Let's look at it. We all know, you all know, that there are days in the week where you plan to train and you never quite get there. And I plan loads and never quite get there. Because life goes on. But when that happens, you have to have contingencies, alternative ways of thinking, rather than going, oh, I didn't train this week, I won't come in again till next week. It's, I didn't train today, what can I do tomorrow? So we did that with them. And this is the difference. Those people who had 1 hour support at the beginning, standard gym induction, this was the profile. Those people who had that 1 hour, plus a 30-minute, a 20-minute and a 10-minute, so an additional 1 hour of support in the first 4 weeks, that's the red line. And I've got to tell you that when you produce all this data, when it comes out of our software systems, it doesn't have these bubbles on them. It just has a red and blue line, and you can see what it says at the bottom. Treatment, no intervention. Treatment, intervention. Do you know how many times I had to look at that to check before I went, because it could have been that this was my study outcome. And I proved, well, all I would have proved was giving behaviour change doesn't help. But guess what? Surprise, surprise. Helping people think about their behaviours increases the probability that they're going to carry on exercising. In fact, in this study, they increased their average length of membership by 7 months. Now, if you look at the curves, they pretty much follow the same patterns, but they're just wider apart. So when it flattens off, it flattens off. When it starts to drop down, it drops down. Now, in the club where we did this, and this was in central London, and the gym instructors were basic gym instructors. They weren't very, they weren't top-level personal trainers or behavioural psychologists. They were gym instructors that I taught for 2 days, taught them techniques. If we went in, if they carried on, where's their big problem at the moment for the club? Think about the club this is based in, not my study, but what's happening to a lot of their members? What do you see in that graph? A lot of them are going in the first few months. They join and boom, they're losing 35% of their new members in 2 to 3 months. A third of all their members that they join for a year. Then it levels out, and then it drops away again. So if I'm working with this club, forget my red line, if I'm working with this club, where do you think I'm going to say you need to focus your attention to start with? In the first few months. Because if I shift this up, I'm likely to shift this up. And for those of you, the financial side of this, everything under these lines is money. That's extra money. Imagine euros stacked up under each of those lines. You want them stacked up to the red line, not to the blue line. The difference in income by putting 1,000 people through each at the end of 12 months was 107,000 euros by providing those people with an extra hour of support in the early stages with staff that you probably employ anyway. But it's about managing the staff's time so that they are able to do that. Now, the other thing about this study was that it didn't have to be the same instructor. In fact, I insisted that it was a different instructor that did each appointment. So they know more staff. So when they walk in the gym, the chances of them recognising somebody goes up. Whereas if it's me and you, and it's only me and you, if I'm on an early this week and a late next week, but you always train mornings, first week it's like, oh great, there's Paul. Second week, where's Paul? But at the end of the week, he's abandoned me. I haven't seen him all week. I wonder if he still works here. And if you have 3 shifts, morning, middle and afternoon, it's 3 weeks before we see each other again. But I'm too busy with my new person to give you any attention. So it's, the way I designed it was, as an operator, what can we do? What can the staff do? Kept it really basic. There were lots of things we could have done psychologically that are much more challenging and much more useful, but the staff can't do them. So I had to teach them basic things that they could do to be successful. Quit rate, the control group. Quit at a rate of 77 per 1,000 per month. Those who had the extra minutes of support, 24 per 1,000 per month. We save 53 memberships every month by giving them an extra hour of support in the first 4 weeks. We programmed around start them easy, build them up. All we're worried about is them coming in 1 to 2 times a week, not 3 times a week, not 4 times a week, 1 to 2. If they come more than that, we can celebrate that. What happens if you plan 3 but do 2? It's a disappointment. In your head, you beat yourself. Oh, I can't believe it. I said I'd do 3 in the first week. I've only done 2. Well, if you do 2, it's like, I've done 2. How many of you ever have to miss workouts that you want to do? Who here never misses a workout? Okay, that suggests to me then that the people who didn't put their hand up don't work out. Because there's those who never miss a workout, those that do miss a workout, and those that are going, work out? I'm not interested in working out. So we have to be realistic. And if you think about when people join, I don't know if it happens in your clubs, but people come in, they go, we say, our fitness person says, and how often are you thinking of training each week? And the customer goes, and listen to my voice tone, 3 times a week? And our instructor goes, yeah, that's right. They're sort of, is this the right answer, 3 times a week? And how long were you thinking of exercising for? About an hour? The customer tells us the answers they think we want to hear. A lot of them don't want to be here at all. So we can say, the way in which I teach a lot of clubs is to go, okay, would you like to exercise 1 to 2 times a week or more? And just watch their face, they go, 1 to 2 times, I can exercise 1 to 2 times a week, yeah. It'll take you longer to get to your goal, but 1 to 2 times a week is more than you're currently doing, isn't it? And they go, oh yeah. And I say, so would you like to exercise for up to 30 minutes or longer than 30 minutes? 30 minutes? I often now do it 45 because people won't come out of their houses for 30 minutes. If you think about it, it's too much. By the time they get in their car, they sort their equipment out, they drive down to the club, they come into the club, they get changed. 30 minutes in their head is like, it's going to take me 45 minutes to get there. And then 45 minutes to come home once I've had my coffee and my chat. And so for me, I'm looking around 45 minutes for people to be in. And with the equipment that we've got nowadays and the types of training program, most people can get a really good workout out in 45 minutes. An hour? It's never an hour, is it? It's the time it takes to get there, the time it takes to train, and the time it takes to get home. So there's a lot of things we do that the customers go, oh, is that what we're supposed to say? I want to be right. And we need to challenge some of that. Here's the cancellation, the risk of quitting. This is Russian roulette with memberships. If you do the 1-hour gym induction, the risk of you blowing your brains out increases month 2, drops a little bit in month 3, and then goes back up during months 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then it drops down. And the only reason this goes like that at the end is because it's the end of the study. Giving people more support in the early stages, particularly around their health behaviours and helping them change their behaviours, look at the risk of blowing your brains out. It drops dramatically. Does talking to members save memberships? What do you reckon? You've always believed it, haven't you? If we talk to our customers, they'll stay longer. I use, and I think some of you will be familiar with this, there's a thing called the Net Promoter Score for measuring customer service. It's one question, it's by Bain Industries and a guy called Frederick Reicheld. And the question is this: what's the likelihood of you recommending a friend or colleague to this business? What's the likelihood of you recommending a friend or colleague to this business? If it's 6 or lower, that's a bad score. 7 or 8, indifferent. 9 or 10, they go around telling everyone how wonderful you are. Yeah? Got to tell you, I am a promoter, I'm one of the advocates of Life Fitness equipment. I'm not employed by them. I get offers from all the different equipment manufacturers to come and speak to their groups and their customers and everything. I go, no. And I know some of you have got other equipment, and I understand that. You're wrong. But I choose to work with Life Fit because I used to have Life Fitness equipment in my club, and for me, it does the things I want it to do. And it works for really long periods of time, so I don't have to buy so much of it. But this promotion score, look at this, poor quality numbers. Remember I said anything less than 6 or 6 and below is a poor score? These are the people who talk around going, I went down the gym. This is acknowledgement. The question for this was, in your last 10 visits to the gym, has a member of the gym staff spoken to you or acknowledged you on at least one occasion? In 10 visits, one interaction. In Liverpool, it's where Dirk Kuyt plays, isn't it? Liverpool, not Dirk Kuyt, Liverpool. Only 9% of customers said we got spoken to at least once in 10 visits. Yeah? Not talking about reception, not talking about when they buy their coffee or in the bar area, in the gym. Manchester, not much of a fan of Manchester, and I'm an Arsenal supporter, so you can imagine what I think of Robin van Persie at the moment. Great player, wrong team. 55% of customers said we got spoken to at least once. Now look what happens. Every time the higher this score, the higher this score. In research, it's called a perfect correlation. Customer service ratings go up every time someone gets spoken to. So the more interactions they have, the more it goes up. Problem is, a lot of our staff aren't great. Our gym staff aren't great at talking to customers. That's the same slide, but rearranged. Look, 9%, 3.8, 19, 4. This goes up, that goes up. Here's another slide. We asked the customers, what's the likelihood of you still being here in 6 months' time? We found that 6 months is about the most length of time people can think about their behaviours and predict their behaviours. You ask them 12 months, how many of you know what you're going to be doing in 3 years' time? 2 years? Year? That's, for some of you, you'll be going, yeah. 6 months. Pretty much this, same as you're doing now. There might be a few changes, but pretty predictable. So we asked them that, and then we said, how often do the gym staff speak to you? And we gave them 4 choices. Every visit, occasionally, rarely, never. Now this is called an odds ratio. So you always attribute the highest score to 1, because it's the easiest way to understand it. If I get spoken to every visit, I also rate the chances of me still being in 6 months as high. If I only get spoken to occasionally, I'm 60% less likely to say I'm going to be here in 6 months' time. That's between every visit and occasionally. If you go from occasionally to rarely, that's 70% less likely. Do you want to see the thing you actually have to do to change that? Morning. You all right? Anything you need from me? No? Fine. As you were, you're training hard. Wow. That was a good set. I don't have to apply my psychology. Look into my eyes. Look just around my eyes. Tell me about your mother. You know, I don't have to go heavy psychology. All I have to do is, across the gym, if it's busy, make eye contact with someone and go, you all right? Give them acknowledgement. Because often the standards are so low, when they get that, customers go, they saw me. We want acknowledgement. In a restaurant, it happens naturally. You order your food, they deliver your food. 3-5 minutes after your food's on the table, someone's over. Is everything all right with your food, madam? Is there anything else you need? What's your standard answer? No, it's all right, thanks. I'm fine. And they go, okay. Same with the customers. When you talk to the customers, they want to be asked, do you need anything? So they can go, no, I'm all right, thanks. But they want to be asked. So just getting your staff to talk to customers can change your retention curve so it goes from this to this. How many are familiar with Fitness First as an operator? Big health club chain. Think Health City. Yeah? Anyone here from Health City? There isn't, is there? I have to be careful, the camera's running. They got good lawyers. This is a Fitness First study we did. This is 16 health clubs. 8 health clubs didn't know they were in a study. So we just kept their data and kept measuring their data. And we had some software to help us do this. 8 of their clubs, we went in and trained their staff for 1 day on how to start and maintain conversations with customers. They know biceps, they know triceps, they know quadriceps, they know transverse plane, frontal plane, all of the physiology, anatomy and training. They know some of the programs on the equipment. A lot of them don't know enough of what their equipment can do. Who is currently a Life Fitness customer? Not the Life Fitness staff. How many programs are there on a lot across the range of Life Fitness consoles? So treadmill, bike, stepper, cross trainer. Any idea? Anyone got a number for me? 52. Funny that. How many weeks in the year? How many things could your staff have to talk about on a weekly basis? This week we're just going to talk about Kilimanjaro. We're just going to talk about hill interval. Does that interest you? No? Okay, that's fine. That's all the customer wanted. You tried. Someone go, yeah, tell me about Kilimanjaro. I fancy some of that. So we taught them. Look at what happens. This is one interaction in a 10-week period. On average, they were averaging 1 interaction on a 10-week period. That's the difference in member retention. I'm going to go back a slide because I saw you all go, ooh. We know from the data we've analysed that if I speak to you once in January, chances of you still being a member in February go up by 20%. If I speak to you 2 to 3 times in January, chances of you being here in February go up by 50%. So I reduce the risk of you quitting by half. If I speak to you 4 or more times in January, the chances of you still being here in February go up by 80%. And this is the technique. Do you need anything? No? Okay. That's scary. And people go, it can't be that simple. Well, if we can do that for Fitness First, and I've got to tell you, their staff aren't that clever. They're not. Most of them look like MMA fighters. Tattoos. Protein shaker. You want help? If you want help, here I am. But you need to come to me because I'm the expert. Yeah, my mum is going to look at that person in the gym and she's going, do you know what? I need to go and ask them for advice. Because as soon as she walks towards them, everybody else needs to go, no. Because as soon as they get them there, they go, you know what you need? Personal training. What? I just wanted to know how I set the seat up. You need personal training. Talking to customers saves memberships. Now, there was a question during the break. Someone said the government legislation, the rules within this country are now that for 12 months, if a contract finishes, you have to inform the person, or they have to go month by month by month after that. It used to flip them from 12 months. Oh, you missed it. That's another 12 months. Well, we've had that for years. Yeah? Now, the question is, when do you call the person or if you want them to keep coming, what do you need to make sure you do? First of all, you need to make sure you talk to them, but then you need to know when they've stopped coming, because if they stop coming, you need to call them then, not at month 10 and 11 going, I know you haven't been in for 7 months, but we'd really like you to carry on paying. We have to fix the problem when they start cancelling, not wait for the end of or they stop coming, not wait for the end of their contract. We have to step in early, and there are software systems to allow you to do that. Look at this. Cancellations per 1,000 per month. No interactions. 123 customers for every 1,000 customers you've got. At least 1 interaction in a 10-week period. 40. Average length of membership. 5 months. Average length of membership, 14.5 months. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the customer doesn't even have to want anything. Because we don't know, because we can test for that. It's a good question, because a lot of the time, and I had sort of this bit of discussion during the break, people go, oh, group exercise. People who stay in group exercise stay longer. How do you know? When they've come into your club and they've swiped past reception, how do you know where they've gone? So you've got sensors. Yeah, I was at Wellness Alanda most of this week. They got sensors in their spinning studios. Then you can test for it. But most of the time, when it's people who do group exercise stay longer. Well, the research evidence isn't there. There isn't any research evidence. There's lots of companies telling you that that's true. But guess what those companies do? Sell and promote group exercise. There's a really, I've got to be really careful here. There's a really famous group exercise company, you keep it to yourselves, who go, if you do our group exercise programs, your members will stay longer, because they stay longer in our clubs. That's a bit of a clue. When you look at their data, and we have, half their members use the gym, half their members use the studio. 80% of their customers are on 24-month contracts. Which do you think the effect is? It's the 24-month contract, not the content. Now, saying that, I do think if you've got a good instructor who makes eye contact and speaks at some point during the class to a person, the chances of them coming back go up. Because it's interaction. I came to the class, someone saw me, they smiled at me, they know, how you getting on, it's all right? Just do this, wouldn't you? It's me getting funky.